When people go to work overseas, sometimes they find the situation is different from what they were told. If this happens, it's important to know your rights and where to turn for help. Consider the case of Sharif. He accepts a job in Malaysia, but it turns out it's not what was promised. Sharif had paid a local agency who offered him a job at a glove factory. He'd hoped to save money to start a business when he finished his contract. So he paid the agent a lot of money, taking out high-interest loans to cover the costs. When Sharif arrives at the factory, he discovers the job was not what he had been promised. The agent in Bangladesh had said he'd be working on a production line in an air-conditioned glove factory and that the work wouldn't be hard. Instead, he was assigned to the outdoor facility maintenance and had to do tasks in very hot conditions. You have a right to receive a contract in your language before leaving. The job when you arrive cannot be a worse job than what was in your contract. Sharif was assigned to work 12-hour shifts, 6 days a week. At first, he accepted the overtime so he could pay off his debt faster. But after months of these long shifts, he's tired. He asks for shorter shifts, but his supervisor keeps expecting him to work overtime. You have a right to voluntary overtime, to refuse overtime without any penalty. Your contract should list how many days a week you should work and how many hours a day. Normal working hours are 8 hours per day. Any time after that is overtime and must be paid at a higher overtime rate. Sharif was housed in a dormitory, sharing a room with 22 other men, with only his bunk bed to himself. There was only one bathroom, and there usually wasn't enough water for bathing at peak hours. There was no air conditioning or enough fans to keep the room cool on sweltering nights. You have a right to hygienic and adequate accommodation. If your employer houses you in a dormitory, it has to meet the standards of Malaysian law. They must give you 3.6 meters of space with a comfortable bed. No triple bunk beds and no more than 15 people sharing a bathroom. It should provide personal lock boxes, fans and lamps, a kitchen, running water, and electricity at all times. Sharif decided to tell his supervisor about his concerns. But after he complained about the working conditions, he felt like the supervisor began to target him for speaking out. His supervisor would scold him for minor mistakes and even charge Sharif a fine of 1 hour's salary for being just 2 minutes late. Sharif wasn't sure what to do. If he left his job, his status in Malaysia would become illegal. You have a right to fair and humane treatment, without threats or financial penalties. Your company should offer a way to report grievances other than to the supervisor, like a messaging hotline or a representative you can speak with. The company should never retaliate against you for reporting grievances. You have rights to the job in your contract, to voluntary overtime, to comfortable accommodation, to report grievances about unfair treatment. If your company doesn't uphold your rights or respond to your complaints, you can seek help from the Bangladesh Embassy, local organizations, or contact the Suara Kami helpline to seek immediate support. Find out more about your rights and options in the SafeStep Help Center.